Good morning, everyone. Looks like it's 3/22, March 22nd. Happens to be the day in between my two boys' birthday. We celebrated Vincent's birthday yesterday, March 21st. And tomorrow we celebrate Dante's birthday, March 23rd. Dante is turning 2. Just getting potty trained. It's doing really good. And Vincent is turning 9. So he's almost a full 10 years old. Big number 9. And we got Mosley here now. Mosley. Taking a nice early morning walk. Getting up before the sun's up. Oops, sorry Mosley. Gonna have to take it extra careful today. Probably really loud background, but we'll get away from this. I just wanted to share a little bit of background here. Yes, I have fallen on the camera before, so today, if I fall, it's not even a big deal. We've already done it before, so just gotta get things over with, you know? Your little fears. I'd like to talk, obviously, about what's on everybody's mind a little bit. With the whole pandemic going on. And kind of the different stages, I guess, of acceptance that people go through with it. Also that, you know, I still talk to people on a daily basis that are like in a state of like shock and denial maybe about what's happening. Now, the people that I talk to are obviously in interesting circles. They're all over the map as far as what they might believe. Is this a complete conspiracy? Is it a bioweapon? Is it just a natural virus? Is it not real? Is just the media hyping it up? And honestly, like, I've gone through different levels of trying to understand exactly what's going on as well, and I don't have all the answers, so I'm not going to get up here and say, you know, this is the thing that's happening, or this is not the thing that's happening. I think clearly there appears to be an issue going on with people becoming sick and filling up hospitals and wrecking healthcare facilities, not wrecking them, but overwhelming them. And, you know, the people in Spain and Italy and other places like that where it's not as foreign to us, and the media, like, it's not like they wouldn't lie to us or something, but the media is less likely to be able to get away with just, like, making things up. Like, maybe something that comes out of China or Russia or something like that. You know, Americans or Canadians or people in Mexico could be like, well, that's just, you know, propaganda, or who knows what to believe. But I mean, so let's just get out of the way, that these countries are clearly taking massive action for a problem that appears to definitely be happening, and people getting sick and dying of COVID, and then, you know, pneumonia, and seems to be what's actually causing the bigger problem. There it goes. See, that was just a slip though, so yeah, gotta be careful on this one. I'll get up. I'm up here where the ice is still on the trail. Gotta get a little bit lower. But there's no people. I'm practicing my social distancing up here. I just think that it's really dangerous to say for certain, or to even throw it out there to other people, if you're like a public figure, which I'm not a public figure, but I'm just saying I've seen other people on their YouTube channels and things like that, like saying it's totally a hoax and it's not real at all. And I just think that that's extremely dangerous to be throwing out there when, you know, there definitely could be things that people could do to stop the spread to others, if there is something. And why take the chance? I mean, it seems like a good wake-up call for people that unfortunately this might affect, or that, you know, have people around them being affected, or work in the healthcare system, or are going to be financially affected by this. That's one way to look at it, right? Like, obviously, like, it's a horrible situation. And I don't want to make light of it and laugh and say, oh, I'm laughing because this is funny. It's not funny, you know, but I've come to terms to a certain extent with the situation. I went through my own periods of denial and freak out and overreaction and, you know, then kind of like nihilistic phase. Kind of like, well, you know, let it happen then, and things like this, and all these different phases. And I'm not saying like I'm super happy now that I've done that. I'm just saying that you have to relax, you have to get out still, if you can. You have to still have habitual things that you're doing, if not even more so now. And then let's start to analyze, you know, some of the more problematic systems in our society and in our own lives. And we can work on those. We can already start to address the things that need to be addressed. And you can start right at home. Start with yourself. Start inside. You know, I mean, we're locked inside because of this virus, right? And it's also become like a social and mental virus. Some could say that's already been here with us for some time. And this pandemic is like exposing the internal crisis, the existential crisis happening in humanity, and the different systems. It's not like every system that humanity is using and has brought us to this level is bad. I'm not like some radical communist or something, right? Because then I'd probably be for all this happening. The point is that, like in the thing that I do, which is security, IT security, it's kind of like the main source of income for me currently. When there's an issue, when there's a risk that gets, when there's a vulnerability that gets exposed, right? When there was risk, and that risk actually becomes like a casualty, if something actually occurs that takes advantage of the vulnerability in the system, it's important to like see, to use the word grieve in like our field. It wouldn't make sense, but it's important to like understand that there's an issue and do a root cause analysis, right? Understand the root cause. And so we're going to do that. We don't know that yet. And people that just jump on saying, well, it's this, you know, patient zero is this Japanese guy, or it's Wuhan, or, you know, it's going to take actually a lot longer than what people want their quick answers right now to know what's happening exactly. It's just like saying Osama bin Laden like several hours after the planes hit in New York City is, you know, that's the spoon-fed answer that the media is going to give you because they have an agenda that they're trying to push. And clearly, there's going to be several agendas that are going to be taken advantage of by people with agendas in this crisis, right? Whether they caused it or not. That's not the point. So they might have caused it. They may not have. All these things are going to unfold. And the people that want to be interested in uncovering these facts should definitely do their due diligence to do so. Okay? But, you know, we need to keep an open mind to all those things, for sure. Definitely not just jump on that this is the answer here. Definitely that happened because the media is spoon feeding me that. They could be people that are just using this to push their agenda clearly, right? So once the vulnerability happens and you can do your root cause analysis, usually mitigation and then, mending the fence, mending the vulnerability, and then putting in place like additional barriers if there was a critical vulnerability that was exposed. If it's like a high severity issue, right? Well, this is a high severity issue occurring, and people around you that still aren't taking it seriously are in some kind of state of delusion and denial, and they're not wanting to accept. They want their normal life to continue on, even though things are getting shut down, even though the governments are taking more serious action every day. You'll see that people still want to pretend like their normal life should continue. Like, why can't we just have our normal lives back? Well, there won't be your normal life coming back. This is a completely life-changing event. Everything is going to be different after this. And you're going through it right now, and it's kind of weird because it's like an extended rollout of this, and not like rollout like it's just completely top down. Like all of our lives are going to be completely different now. Everywhere you go, there's going to be different protocols in place. And we have to think about that. Like, what kind of things are we willing to change? And what kind of actions are we going to take? And then what kind of things are we willing to accept that might happen, and start to take preparations for those things. So if you hadn't been like mentally preparing or physically preparing for things like this up until this time, and you're still in a place where you can prepare, and you're not, completely disabled or totally sick from the COVID and on a hospital bed somewhere wanting a ventilator, then there's still a lot you can do. And then moving forward from there, there's going to be a lot of things that you can do as well. Working with other people and learning to communicate online is a big one that we can all work on. I personally suggest the autonomy course for that. I would get into that as fast as possible before season 3 gets started here, and really start to sync up with people and network with others who are seeking to thrive and prosper through this, not just like get through it, but actually come out in a position that we're not just taking care of ourselves, but able to help other people. And so, that's where I'm putting a lot of my energy into helping others and come up with ideas or just talk about things or get through this event, and then we'll come out into season 3 and just keep going with it. So I'll be there. To those in autonomy, sorry I haven't been spending more time or working on projects closer in Autonomy Unlimited and things like that, but personally I've just been spending the vast majority of my time, taking action in a positive direction for the safety of my family and making sure that we have what we need for longer term thinking, like not just through this event, but now this has got me thinking about all kinds of things. Like here in Utah, we live on the Wasatch Fault in Salt Lake City here. That's where I'm at right now, is in the Wasatch Mountains, and there's a huge fault line, pretty much like right where I'm standing. If you could see, like, there's been some trauma and cataclysm here in the past. It's a really pretty canyon. I figured there'd be. It's less windy today than last week, and just overall better day, better place to record. But yeah, we had a 5.7 earthquake or 5.4, something like that in Magna. What a name for the place, for the earthquake to happen, right? Magna. And through Magna came the earthquake. And the angel of Moroni dropped his trumpet. He was trembling in fear. If you look at that, like the trumpet even came off the angel of Moroni. Like we were waiting for like brimstone and fire, or what was coming next? Like locust? Was there gonna be a flood? But no, it's a time to prepare. It's a time to take inventory of, being prepared for situations like this, and then, taking action in a positive direction, whatever that is, like exercising, spending time with family, inventory of like your financial situation and how resilient it is in situations like this. And if you've lost a lot, it's understandable to be like extremely depressed or upset about that. Like even financial loss, I could just say, well, that's all fake anyways, and it's not real, so it doesn't matter. Like, no, it matters. Like, people have been completely wiped out and are fearful, like being told by the president, like, it's gonna come roaring back. Don't worry, it's gonna come roaring back. The economy. And that might be true. Like, it could definitely come roaring back. To gamble. We're all gambling. That's another thing with our financial systems and the way the corporate world works, the way the stock market works, the way quarterly requirements of board members and investors and all the stockholders require continuous increase in profits and revenue, which makes sense. But this is going to make, I think, us have to reassess certain things. Now, the socialists, communists of the world are having their day right now, just saying, look at how needed we are. Look at how Trump is just dumping money into the economy, right? Well, this is different. This is an emergency. This is a total emergency. This is a worldwide disaster. And so to start to frame things down into like, this is why Bernie Sanders or something, like, this is why we need better. It's like, this does not justify your authoritarian model for government any more than like saying, this is why we need, less regulation on these manufacturers for these things right now, or pitting it into your political argument is not. It's not. This is not the time to measure the things that are happening into a normal, as if that's what should totally dictate how the world operates moving forward. It just means that certain systems that are completely failing right now probably should be remodeled, if not totally removed and redone, right? Like the financial system, if it wipes people out when there's a problem and people can't have a few weeks off of work without everything completely crumbling, then that's a problem, And if your own life is set up in a way where you can't afford to take a couple weeks off of work without relying on government or corporations to take care of that for you, which they may, and we're going to see them step up. Right? We're going to see corporations and governments step up to the plate right now and take care of people. And that's good. In countries where that's possible, or places where that's possible. Obviously, don't mean to make just like ignorant, broad, sweeping statements for the whole planet. Obviously, there's places where there will be like zero assistance, and if there's hospitals getting overwhelmed and people dying, it's like lock them in their homes and put them in the cremator, like take them to the crematorium, right? Like, and some people are saying, well, that's a good thing that China has such authoritarian measures, and places like South Korea where people listen and actually just follow orders of everybody. On one level, that's right. Like, that's a good, responsible thing to do if people are doing it because they're being responsible. It's never a responsible thing to do to just blindly follow orders because you're being told to by authority. Like, that's not the lesson that should be gained from that, right? It's that when responsibility is required of you and you're being responsible, that's a good thing. It shouldn't be framed once again, like to justify, well, this is why we need complete communism and a central authoritarian power that dictates your life because things like this happen. I would just say, well, no, people need to be responsible for everything they can be at all times and continuously try to improve and become more responsible. So that, I mean, you can see here that the government has said don't go outside and be around other people. They haven't said don't go outside, but they're saying if you're going to go on a walk, go by yourself or with your people in your house, because obviously you're already with them. And then don't go and group around other people, right? And people are either kind of like, well, screw that. I mean, I'm not going to listen to a command like that from the government. Or they're not paying attention. They don't really know what's happening because it's not become like a red alert on your phone yet, even though there have been some alerts that have come across my phone. Or it's not posted on like every single signpost. But in either case, I think going back to what I was saying, like, it's extremely irresponsible to not be doing anything and not taking any measures to cover your face or not be, around other people, not touching things around other people or breathing, because we don't know. This is the eye of the storm. We don't know yet. Like in a month or 2 months, we could be like, oh my God, it was so silly that we were acting that way, and I can't believe I went out and dumped all that money on, nebulizers and elderberries and, but why, do you really want to be in a position where it's the opposite side of that coin, where you're saying, why didn't I, and I wish I would have, and, these people around me are all dead, and perhaps I did something to contribute to that, or my information that I was putting out did something to contribute to that. I really don't want to be in that position, so, it's definitely interesting times, and you need to be very adaptive and dynamic, while at the same time, like, don't lose your focus, don't lose your mind, reading news articles and freaking out about this and just listening to the 24-hour news cycle either. Like, you're in a cataclysm. You've survived through it to this point. Take inventory daily of what you need to be doing to improve the situation around you, just like you should be doing anyways every day. But things might have drastically changed, and when things drastically change around you, you need to be taking massive action. Okay? So if you've lost your job, I've been there. In 2008, I lost my job, okay? Do the things you need to do, and don't feel bad if you were in some higher position and now you need to kind of take a lower position for a while. Do whatever you need to do to get through this. And even if that means reaching out to like family that need things, or your buddy that you used to work for, or some guy that has side work, while you kind of get your other insurances in place to become whole again, or even lesser than whole. Like, this is again a gut check. Why were you living outside of your means? Why didn't you have 3 months of reserves, at least at a bare minimum, put to the side so you don't have to lose quote unquote everything right now? So you gotta address that, triage the issue, and then build and move forward. And we've done that before. Humanity does this all the time. And, anything that's kind of happening right now it's not, even if it is like a bioweapon or something like that, right? Which I more and more think that this definitely is like a SARS, AIDS hybrid, genetically engineered weapon that was released on the public. Like, that's my theory. There is evidence to support this, but I'm not gonna go like, this is what you should believe and that's how you should look at it too. Like, whatever, fine, it's a natural thing, or it's from bats, or monkeys. Whatever. Like, that is gonna be important. And like, we do obviously have to focus on these options and come to terms, and not be such a child and think that the world couldn't work that way. Because the world could and definitely does work that way. And if you look at other things in the past that have gone on, it's not outside of this realm to say that this has been released on the public as a test, as an experiment, as a direct weapon, as war. these terms, these concepts shouldn't be new to anyone. These ideas that these things could happen. These things have happened and do happen and currently are happening, and this could all be part of that. It's not doom and gloom, and I'm not saying so everyone's gonna die, That's not, again, that's black and white thinking. That's, not what I said, and you're hearing something different than what I said, if that's where you're jumping to, that I'm saying those things. So, like I said, I've seen people kind of polarizing this into what I've been saying is that, like, this financial crisis that's going to ensue now has been lurking, and this is the pin that got pulled that's going to cause it to blow. Whether or not it was intentional, we might not know exactly, but there's definitely interesting information that needs to be looked into, like from James Corbett. Some of the recent work that he's done, I think, is accurate, that needs to be looked at as far as what the overall agenda with this could be. And medical martial law, or moving in incrementally new laws that make this a new norm, where this comes back yearly and there's different controls and constrictions. It's partially to do with the global warming and climate change. People as well are going to use this as a Trojan horse to get people to drive less, to move less, to do more remote working. And I'm not saying like that's all a bad idea. I'm just saying that you've got to look into a lot of that too, the whole climate agenda thing, and whatever they're calling it, the climate change or whatever, global warming, whatever it is now, that the UN and the whole thing with Maurice Strong, and the whole thing is way beyond what people are able to comprehend what the movement is for and being used for. It's not just to save the planet and save the animals. And it's childish that people think that that's what the governments of the world and the United Nations is there to do, is to protect you and to protect the planet. Like, you have to look more into the philosophy and the worldview behind the people that started these ideas, and read their books and look into more of what they're really trying to do with things like we talked about in a couple walk and talks ago, like Fabian socialism, which is now basically transformed into what we're calling democracy in the United States. And it's like a perfect model of Fabian socialism. And the theories and the people that are behind starting these, basically, like, worldviews is a good way to put it, and instilling them in other people, are not there to love and nurture and care for humanity. Like, in one way they think they are, but by reducing the population through vaccinations is like where that's led to now with Bill Gates. It's an acceptable form of reducing the population. So people's ignorance about all these things has, in one way, caused things like we're experiencing now with this huge pandemic problem to happen. And we're going to learn the hard way with a lot of things. And this is not like, I don't think this is the big one where everybody's going to wake up. Like, this is another hard lesson that we're all going to have to learn about thinking that you can just go and watch your sports and the government's going to take care of it for you, and your corporations are going to take care of it for us, and we don't need to be more active, we don't need to do more, we can just do enough and get by and have our cars and our houses and our big screen TVs, and it's all just going to work out. You don't have to like look into things, how they actually work, or try to combat corruption or evil on this planet, you can just drink your beer and hang out and watch TV, and all the experts are going to figure it out for you. Like, that's not true. And this is what happens when we take our eye off the ball. And people are going to say that's a stretch or something, like, and that I'm oversimplifying it, or maybe being like insensitive about things, but I'm like actually simplifying the bigger natural law picture of how this stuff is working right now, from my point of view, of course. You know, whatever, disagree with me, I don't care. I do these videos to practice, doing production. I know it's not like the nicest production ever, and I'm saying things, kind of wanderingly and out of breath and hiking and the camera's shaky. Well, I like to do this, and I like to do the production. I do like to, grow a small audience of people that are like-minded, that we can talk about these things. And, whatever. If you don't, want to see these videos from me and think that I'm ridiculous or super conceited or egotistical, or because I like to see myself hiking around on the camera or something, then whatever, man. I don't care. Don't participate, then don't watch the videos. It's not a big deal to me. So we can all do a lot more in our own lives, and that's basically the lesson that I'm taking from this, and took before even this happened. I was starting to come to a lot of these thoughts about me lying to myself about saying like, oh, I'm doing enough, look at the things I'm doing, and I'm taking care of my family in this way, and we've got, this set up for us, and it was all like lies. I'm not doing enough. It was very selfish thinking, because that's just like the bare minimum things that you could be doing. And there's a lot of people around you that need your help and support, and even your like wider circle of family members that might need help and support during this time. And I would like to be in a better position to help those people when times get tough. And you have to ask yourself and be honest, like, how much of yourself is really hiding the fact that you're not prepared and not ready to take care of those people around you if they become sick, if they financially need your help. And like, people are against money and against the Federal Reserve, blah 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 blah. Well, that's just one, that's the category and the way that it's been organized, that form of energy in your life, and part of it is needed to get you to where you want to be and get the things done that you want to be done. So you have to get over that too. You have to get over the fact that it's all fucked up and move on and be successful anyways, and because other people need you. And it's very, very selfish to sit and say like, well, I have enough for me and mine and my family. And I think it's also selfish to be not successful in a way where you're financially able to get through during these times. Even if the world is all screwed up and it's all corrupt, and politicians and bankers and all that has totally taken everything and inverted it, and it's using it for child pedophilia and human trafficking, and people are dying, blah 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 blah, enslaved all over the planet, and the IMF, da 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 da. It doesn't matter. Like, those are all you making excuses why you can't do more and do what you need to do to improve things. And let me tell you, being broke and always trying to come up with gimmicks and gadgets of your own work for other people to give you money that they're earning out in that system that you hate so much is not any better position to be in. So again, that's why I say the best tool that you can use to get through that problem and make sure you're coming out on the other side of this with the tools you need to survive and thrive in any situation is, from what I've found, the autonomy course. And so, take that route and come out on the other side of season 3 with the tools that you need to survive and thrive, and not be worried about things in times like this, where you always know there's going to be people that need things, and you now have the tools that you need to be able to serve them and provide what they need and help them. Really, that's what it's all about. Again, like, you can do more to help other people, and like I said, I've, it's not like I've always been like totally selfish and I just realized that or something. But I was more honest with myself recently, saying, I'm not doing enough. So part of that, me saying that, is for me to tell myself here on this video to do that and to follow through. And so, I try to do that as much as I can each day. I'm not perfect. I'm having a hard time with all this too, with the whole pandemic and being locked in the house. Some things haven't changed in our lives. Some things are changing drastically. We were going to move to Arizona in a couple months, and those plans look like they're going to have to change temporarily, and we don't know for sure what the future holds as far as that goes. And other things like that we had to be very nimble and just shift and be here with everybody else. So before this all kind of went down, I've been starting a course online myself to teach people how to produce and do videos and use OBS and use the tools that are needed to broadcast themselves out there, because I think a lot more of that's going to happen now. And my wife's been doing like homeschooling on Zoom with other kids, and we've been meeting more in autonomy and around the COVID issue. And I'm here if anybody needs my assistance, anything that I can do to help during this. And if you have questions on like how to do some of the things I just mentioned, just go to tylerbloyer.com. You can drop your email in, get subscribed, and you can also email me at tyler@tylerbloyer.com, or I'm on the Fed book if you want to hit me up there. I have my own Discord server just kind of set up for people to follow the work and trickle in there and discuss things. So that's all I had to say today, guys, and I like to do these on Sundays, so we'll look forward to a next one next week, unless I have more to say in between then. Talk to you later.